Good morning, Malaysia. This is Matthias Cheng once again from Future Fast Forward. The purpose of this address this morning is to update all of you as to what's happening between 1MDB and IPIC, the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Fund. In my last speech, I told all of you that Malaysia, for all intent and purposes, is bankrupt because both 1MDB and the Ministry of Finance, which owns 1MDB 100%, failed to pay on the 31st of July the first tranche or first portion of the consent award settlement, wherein 1MDB and the Ministry of Finance agreed to pay the two installments, the first in July and the second in December. And to repeat, I said that in law and in fact, regardless of whether a person or a company or an entity has assets, but if on a due date to pay a debt, the debtor cannot pay the creditor as when the debt is due, the debtor commits an act of bankruptcy or the act of insolvency. And since 1MDB is a company, 1MDB, by failing to pay a debt due on 31st July, has committed an act of insolvency and can be wound up in normal course of proceedings or if the individual bankruptcy proceedings. So there is what we call a major default. And since 1MDB is a sovereign fund, as touted by the Prime Minister Najib, then what we have is a sovereign default because Mr. Finance owns 100% of 1MDB and Mr. Finance could not also pay IPIC on the failure of 1MDB. So when MOF is involved, the sovereign nation of Malaysia is also involved. Hence, I call it a sovereign default. But under the terms of the settlement, there is a provision which says that if on due date 31st July, there's a default, 1MDB and Ministry of Finance is given a cure, C-U-R-E, cure period of 5 days to pay, failing which there will be a second default. So I don't know for sure how the agreement or the award compute the 5 days. Normally, in such situation, is referred to as business days as opposed to calendar days. So on default 31st July, 5 days should be 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, okay, which is Monday to Friday. You don't count Saturday and Sunday. So the last day, if we count business day as the computation for 5 days, would be 7th of August, all right, Monday. So if I'm correct, then the coverage of 5 days should be 5 business days as opposed to calendar days. If it's 5 calendar days, it will be Sunday. Not possible because banks are closed, businesses are closed. So the correct interpretation ought to be 5 business days. That's why I did not make an address on Monday or Tuesday, but today, to ensure in any event 5 business days has lapsed. Therefore, if the 5 business days is 7th of August, and yesterday was 8th of August, I'm very sure, beyond all doubt, that 1MDB has failed to pay or to cure their default within the 5 business days. And I'm fortified in my view because on the 1st of August, there was a statement issued, all right, Monday, 1st of August, issued by 1MDB, okay? And here it is, the press statement. I read to you. 1MDB statement of payment due to IPIC 1st August 2017. This is an official statement by 1MDB. All payments due from 1MDB to IPIC will be made from the proceeds of the 1MDB rationalization plan. 1MDB itself is waiting funds that were due to be received in July 2017. Due to the need for additional regulatory approvals, the receipt of those funds have been delayed to August 2017. All these are the funds which will be used to pay IPIC. 1MDB has written to IPIC to inform them of our commitment to meet obligations already due on 31st July 2017 in August 2017. Okay? So here is a confirmation by way of press statement that 1MDB has defaulted. And hopefully, they say, they will then get some funds to pay them in August. Now, when someone cannot pay a debt, right? He's bankrupt. He's not credit worthy. Okay? But Najib, the Prime Minister, okay, on the 2nd of August, make a statement that shows that he has absolutely, alright, disregarded the reputation, the integrity and honor of Malaysia, and took the issue rather lightly. Okay? And that's why our country is in a bloody mess. Because this Prime Minister, Finance Minister, his entire cabinet, UMNO Supreme Council, has brought shame to our country because they have no shame. Because if they have shame and have humiliation as a result of this fiasco, they want to behave as they have been behaving. So I will read to you the shocking, disgusting statement by the Prime Minister on 2nd of August, following the press statement which I showed to you just now. This is the report by Straits Times, okay? 1MDB delayed payment to Abu Dhabi Fund is a technical issue, says the Prime Minister. The keywords is in the middle paragraph. In the question and answer session in Parliament on Wednesday, 2nd August, this is what Najib says. It's not that we cannot pay. It is just a technical issue. Okay? Technical issue. Rubbish. And I prove to you this is a lie, a damn lie, and a propaganda. Okay? As far as the law is concerned, non-payment means non-payment. The court, the law is not interested why you cannot pay. Once a debtor cannot pay a debt on due date, an act of bankruptcy has been committed. But this man, Prime Minister, Finance Minister, who can recall and refer to Attorney General Tan Sri Apandi for advice and his own private lawyers and what have you, as to the repercussion and implication of a default, would be told it is not a technical issue. It's a grave, serious, alright, default with global implications and consequences. No lawyer, what is his sort, will say non-payment is a technical issue. Okay? Then, of late, the chairman of 1MDB, who is also the Secretary General of the Ministry of Finance, says this. And this is a statement, right? Reported on Star Online. 1MDB get extension for 603 million payment to Abu Dhabi Fund. Headlines say get extension. But let's see whether they've obtained an extension yet. Ambella State Investment Company, One Malaysia Development Berhad, received, read the words, the actual words, right? Receive an extension to make a payment of more than 600 million to an Abu Dhabi sovereign fund after missing a deadline last month. 1MDB is in talks with International Petroleum Investment Company on the new arbitration settlement date. Malaysian Treasury Secretary General Irwan Srigar Abdullah told reporters on Tuesday, 8th of August, that there was talks for a new arbitration settlement date. It is a question of time, he said. In due course, when the time comes, we will pay off. Where at all in this statement does there a date fixed, or that an extension of time has in fact been agreed by the Abu Dhabi Investment Fund? So this headline is misleading. First paragraph, 1MDB received an extension to make payment of more than 600 million. That first sentence is contradicted by the second paragraph. 1MDB is in talks, right, with IPIC on a new arbitration settlement date. So if you're in talks to get a new date, you have yet to get extension, isn't it? A hard date for extension. But see how they lie, how they cheat. In any event, it shows that Malaysia, under the leadership and management of the finance minister, has defaulted twice. 31st July, 7th August. The 5 days cure period. No shame. No shame whatsoever. Right? And then the chairman of 1MDB, and none other than SecGen of Minister of Finance, gave a misleading press statement. He says that we will pay when the time comes. When the time came on 21st July, the settlement of the arbitration went on between April and May of this year. So they have more than enough time to raise the money. But they failed. Alright? They hoodwinked the country that they had money. But how come I was so confident that they will not get paid? Or they will not have the money to pay? Because in my past video addresses, maybe all of you have forgotten, I brought to your attention that 1MDB is bankrupt, has no money, and I keep on lying and lying and lying. Okay? To prove to you what I say, that they've lied, misrepresent, alright, and fake news. Look at this. Now, we were assured, even before the settlement in arbitration, that 1MDB is liquid, lot of money and assets. You will recall in a press statement on 14 June 2016, the so-called arrogance of 1MDB, they will win the case. Okay? They will not surrender to Abu Dhabi Arabs. I quote, 1MDB and its legal counsel will review the request for arbitration once it has been served with a copy. 1MDB reiterates that notwithstanding the dispute with IPIC, it has a strong liquidity position and is able to honor its current debt obligations. 216, 1MDB and Arun Kanda says that 1MDB is liquid and can meet its current debt obligations. That means including whatever debt that may be due to IPIC. So, take this. Take your handphone and photograph this page. An official press statement. You think I will forget this? Mr. Prime Minister? You think I will forget this? I am like a hound dog. I sniffed and sniff and dig for evidence, and I KIV them. I don't forget what you say. I always come back to haunt you, scumbags. Okay? Now, we move on. And then, you will recall after the settlement with IPIC in London, Court of Arbitration, what MDB said, through the so-called rationalization program, they will redeem the investments, the so-called units and notes from overseas to pay off the debt. I read to you. 24th April 2017, 3 months ago. These are the words, you scumbag liar, you freaking fake news purveyor. As per the settlement, 1MDB will, amongst others, make certain payment to IPIC and will assume responsibility for all future interests and principal payments for 2 bonds issued by 1MDB group companies due in 2022. Now this is the bombshell, the bravado, the fraud and the fake news and lies. This obligation will be met by 1MDB primarily via monetization of 1MDB owned investment fund units. 1MDB is pleased to confirm that the first tranche monetization of approximately 15 million US have been received in cash. Okay. The term primarily via monetization of 1MDB owned investment fund units means they own so-called investment fund units, paper. They will then redeem those paper and get cash. That's what we call monetization of units. And they say that they have confirmed a first tranche of monetization of those units amount to US 15 million have been received in cash. 50 million US. So if they have 50 million US cash and they have to pay 603 million, so they have looked for at least another 500 million, isn't it? Where is this 50 million cash, Arun Kanda, you scumbag liar? Where is this cash? Sec Gen of MOF? Where is this cash, Najib, Prime Minister? Where is this cash, Najib, Finance Minister? Johari, the second Finance Minister? All you scumbags in the Cabinet? All you scumbags in UMNO Supreme Council? Where is this 50 million? If you say by 24th April 2017, you have received this cash, here is black and white, the press statement by 1MDB. I've caught you by your balls, haven't I? And I'm now going to squeeze them so tight, you scream for mercy. You lying scumbag. Where is this 50 million? You think I will forget? Other Malaysians and maybe other politicians may forget, but I won't. You see, I always archive your statements. Okay? Photograph with your handphone and get it viral, this lie. Now, how do we know whether in fact they have received this 15 million? If they have not, there's a lie. If they have, then they make a fraudulent, a worse criminal act, which I won't expose to you. Why? Is this. You will recall that sometime in April 2016, Bank Negara, in a press statement, said that they received a consent of the Attorney General to impose a fine on 1MDB. And under the Financial Services Act, Bank Negara can only impose a fine on 1MDB with the consent of the Attorney General, and also if a crime has been committed. Because that's all they can do. They can't prosecute. So Bank Negara told the whole world on April 2016, following receipt of the consent of the Attorney General today, Bank Negara Malaysia has issued a letter of administrative compound to 1MDB for failure to fully comply with directions issued under the Financial Services Act 213. This includes requirement for 1MDB to repatriate monies, send back monies remitted abroad following the revocations of 3 permissions granted by Bank Negara in 2009, 2010 and 2011. 1MDB has failed to submit evidence and documentation specified by Bank Negara to justify its inability to fully comply with the repatriation order. Okay. 1MDB has been given until 30th May to pay the compound. Here is the press statement of Bank Negara. Besides imposing a fine, there was a repatriation order. The scumbag Arukanda, 1MDB and also MOF. Monies which was remitted abroad via 3 approvals, 2009, 2011, 2013, 2010, 2011, alright, 1 billion was repatriated to the Arabs, Petro Saudi. Thereafter, another 800 million. This went round the world and ended up in Jolo's account would start and then came back to the Prime Minister. So Bank Negara demanded the repatriation of these monies. 1MDB could not redeem the so-called units. Therefore, they were fined and got whacked. Yet, if in 216, the same notes and units that was ordered by Bank Negara with the consent of Attorney General Tan Sri Pandi to bring the money back home, they refuse or can't do so. They refuse or can't do so. Yet, in that press statement I showed you earlier, they say, what did it be? They were able to monetize part of the units, 15 million. You see how devious, insidious criminality has been involved. Open defiance of Bank Negara to bring back the money. But other blues say, oh, we brought back. In 2017, they brought back, but only 50 million. The rest akan datang to pay IPIC. You see how the whole behavior, they were so lackadaisical, tidak ada attitude, scumbags, okay? And now we have defaulted. Now let's recall the history about this, how this so-called units, right, come about. Before I go to that, the factual matrix of how these units came about, let me say to all of you, as an experienced lawyer, when anyone invests any money in any funds, hedge funds, money, trust funds, whatever, say for example, you invest 1 billion in a fund, hedge fund. You deposit 1 billion in hedge fund, and the hedge fund will issue you a paper, a note, say that you have invested 1 billion. And normally, all right, in such an investment, within quotes, there's a clause in that note which says that you can only redeem upon giving proper notice to the fund manager. And then the fund manager, on receipt of the notice, will value your investment at that particular time. Because, as you know, when you invest in funds, the value can go up or down depending whether the funds which you allow the fund manager to manage has appreciated in value or lost in value because of market cycles, what have you. So that you may have invested 1 billion in a fund. That doesn't mean when you redeem the fund for cash, you'll be repaid back 1 billion. If the fund to wise investment appreciate in value, then you get more than 1 billion. if the fund was a fictitious fund, a scam, a fraud, in the beginning, there was no investment, it was just a sleight of hand, fraud, then there's no value. Even if it's actual investment, if it's mismanagement, the value will not be 1 billion. Right? Understand now? Alright? The intricacies of investment hedge funds. It is my contention at all times, way back, the so-called billions invested in that fund was a fraud, a paper shuffling. It was not a genuine investment. And no one could actually give a value because it was a fraud. And in the case, in the amended claim by the DOJ, alright, this is the cover page, right, of the civil suit in DOJ, California, case 2-17 CV 0445 DSF-PLA, document 1, of 250 pages of the amended claim, okay. The DOJ made an amended claim against some jury, the defendants, in this case, verified complaint for future rem. This is the title page, the front page of the claim which I will refer to. Okay? Photograph it. Okay? The defendants are, because it's a forfeiture in rem, going after certain juries. Earlier there were other claims going after the Stratton apartment, the Stratton office, all paying this, what have you. This particular suit is reference to jury, bought by stolen money by the scumbag Chinakwe Jolo. You got it? Okay, this is the title page. Okay. Now, at page 48, para 139 onwards, to page 51, para 150, DOJ in meticulous detail showed that the so-called units referred to by 1MDB recently, that they got to monetize those units to get cash, and the value is worth a few billion, is all fraudulent. It says here, para 139, quickly I said, right? Fraudulent valuation of the fund units. Okay, this is the page. Photograph it. Okay, to show that there is analysis of those fund units, okay, before the court. It's not my words. My words have been corroborated by court documents. A verified complaint filed by DOJ in California. It says here, all about September 30, 2012, Brazen Sky, the units which was deposited in Brazen Sky, in BIC Bank, BIC Bank in Singapore, opened a bank account at BSI Bank in Singapore. BSI Bank in Singapore has served as the custodian of the Bridge Global Unit Funds. The same funds which they now try to redeem to pay off IP. And this secret paper appeared on the bank statements for Brazen Sky's account at BSI. Okay? During the fall of 2012, employees of BSI Bank met with 1MDB officials to discuss the valuation of the Bridge Global Fund units. Among the individuals present at this meeting was this bitch, fraudulent lawyer, Jasmine Lu Ai Swan, who was then 1MDB's General Counsel, Executive Director of Group Strategy, and 1MDB Executive Director of Finance, 1MDB Officer 4. 1MDB officials sought to have the value of the fund units marked at 2.3 billion by Bridge Partners. This is equal to the amount that 1MDB had claimed, including in the press release dated 15th April 2013. That the process of his investment in the joint venture was worth slightly more than the stated value of the 1MDB Petro-Saudi joint venture. Debit notes. And he relied on that 2.3 billion because 1MDB officials suggested that BSI and Bridge Partners rely on a market valuation analysis of the Petro-Saudi oil shipping assets performed by Lazard and International Asset Management. This analysis assigned an illustrative return value of more than 2 billion to the PSOSL assets. Alright? based on certain aggressive assumptions and projections. Value based on assumptions only, and projections, not reality. Provided 1 MDB. Okay? Then, what happened was this. This valuation was then referred to the auditors, KPMG, which found the valuation incorrect, and they resigned. Alright? Because they smell a rat. Minutes from the meeting between 1MD officials and KPMG says that the BSA bankers presented a meeting and we heard from KPMG the fact that the assets underlying the Bridge Global investment consisted of 2 drill ships, and instead conveyed the impression that the fund units were backed by cash. Repeat, in that meeting, it was discovered that the so-called value of the units, 2.3 billion, was initially told was backed by cash. But actually, it was actually backed by 2 drilling ships whose value was minuscule compared to the value of the so-called assets. And then subsequently, alright, the accounts was then audited by Deloitte. At first they passed the account. But when DOJ came up with all these complaints, they withdrew the approval of the accounts and said that the accounts for the year ending 2013 is not approved, and they resigned. So therefore, with this factual matrix of the fraudulent valuation of these fund units, which at one time even Arukanda, this scumbag, said publicly, he saw from the bank statement there was cash in the BSI Bank in Singapore, bank statement cash, remember? And then our scumbag prime ministers in parliament says, sorry, there was a misinterpretation by Arukanda, there was no cash, but notes. Then the second finance minister says, it's not notes, it's some units. These are the same fund notes and units referred to in the DOJ complaint. Fraudulent. Valuation based on assumptions and perceptions. Not backed by cash at all. Can you see now? So, given this background information, surely we must ask the fact that how did 1MDB allegedly monetize those units, the first tranche, for 50 million US? 50 million. Where is the money? By right, they must account in Parliament or to the PAC. Right? No, or to Bank Negara. Because they told Bank Negara they can't bring it back. And that's why Bank Negara whack them and fine them for failure to disclose why they can't bring the money back. And lo and behold, now, all of a sudden, in April, Arukanda, Sec-Gen of MOF, says that we brought some money back, 50 million. If you can bring 50 million back, you can also bring the balance back, if there's a balance, to meet the deadline 31st July. So now what's going to happen? Let me say this to you. With all these facts, the only way 1MDB can bring some money is by some hanky-panky which is yet to unveil itself. Because they have no money. Like I said, we are bankrupt. We're insolvent. And this is the most heinous crime. That is why you must understand. The government, Najib, Zahid Hamidi, Abdul Aziz of Tuan Haji, Saleh Krak, has no choice but to divert the attention of the country away from this horrendous criminal act by the Prime Minister, Finance Minister, And whoever is involved in the MOF, Ministry of Finance, whoever is involved in one MDB. Alright? Because they ought to know they could pay based on my analysis. And now, of course, Zahid says, to divert attention, attack Tun Mahathir. That he's not Malay, what have you. Okay? And then Mahathir counter-attack and says, you scumbag. You came to me. You betrayed your boss. On a day when you were appointed Deputy Prime Minister, soon after you came to me, I said, please support me and I will get rid of Najib. Alright? There was silence. He didn't deny it, you know. There was this conversation, there was a meeting. Forget about for the moment the content of the meeting. He did not deny the meeting with Tun Mahathir. After all this period, why did he keep silent? And then all of a sudden, he says, that meeting was approved by Najib. Najib knew about meeting. You see, when you tell a lie, you tell another lie to cover the first lie, and a third lie to cover the second lie. So I'm going to ask, let's catch them by the balls, okay? Let's catch them by the balls. Zahid Hamidi, you say, you wouldn't be able to swear in a mosque, right? Because your stupid scumbag colleague, Aziz Sultan Haji says, swear! So easy. If everybody swear in front of mosque, they're innocent. There's no need for criminal law. There's no need for Sharia law, isn't it? Everybody answers to God lah. Because like you say, only God can judge him. But let's pause for a while, okay? You say Najib knows and approves of your visit. Tell the whole world, what was the instruction of Najib to you, Zahid Hamidi? What must you say, discuss, negotiate when you see Tun Mahathir? Surely, if you have told Najib, sir, I will now see Tun Mahathir. You think the Prime Minister says, go, do whatever you want? Surely the Prime Minister says, right, okay, what is the objective in seeing Mahathir? What are the issues are you going to address? If you say this, how are you going to counter him? If you say that, how are you going to compromise with Tun Mahathir, isn't it? You think Najib, knowing that Zahid as a deputy prime minister, just installed, going to see Mahathir? What? For a cup of tea? Tiffany for two? Tea for two? Tiffany, whatever? Come on, Zahid. Come on, Najib. Don't think us for fools, huh? You may have fools in UMNO. Because what you have is like loyal but not smart cronies, isn't it? But we are not, right? That kind of people, you know. We use our grey cells. So now, you see, we're recording, right, of your conversation. Let's see whether the recording of the so-called alleged conversation with Tun Mahathir jive as in sync with the instructions of Najib. Come out in the open. Say exactly. And Najib, I challenge you now. Tell the whole world, what instructions do you give to DPM to see Tun? Alright? There's no way, you know, right, to send someone to see Tun Mahathir in this warfare scenario and say, just do what you want. What? Because we're fools. So, no need to swear before the boss, huh? You have the recording, play it out. You have instructions of Najib, say it. And let Najib say the same thing. Otherwise, you will smell like shit. Bullshit. And guess what? Najib was quite silent, you know, when this fiasco came up in open. And now he says, in a news report, and the Shah Alam UMNO delegates, he said, it does not make sense for my deputy to want to overthrow me. Not possible. Not true. It's a complete slander, he was reported saying. UMNO president also said that his deputy had always been a good friend in times of difficulty as well as when things are good. are going well. Here you are, a news report. Take your handphone and photograph it. Okay? So, it doesn't make sense for deputy to want to overthrow you. What is the basis of your faith? Or you're trying to cover your backside because you can't afford to have an enemy in your midst. You can't afford to sack Zahid. They were very weak, say. So now you're trying to spin a story. Okay? Now let's say in a speech, Zahid Hamidi said, right, in a speech, this was when, this was the 31st July. Now Zahid said this, very telling. In his speech, Zahid said, UMNO as a party which champions the Malay did not have to be replaced, adding that it was bad leaders which has to be replaced for the party's continued survival. The Prime Minister is also replaced following a process. Now, why did he make this statement on 31st July? Bad leaders will be replaced. Right? Nobody replaced UMNO. Implying that they are bad leaders, isn't it? And normally, how do we replace leaders? We remove them. And Najib, Zahid, this is what happened to Pak La, isn't it? Huh? He was a bad leader, right? He devastated UMNO at the end. Lost 5 states, lost to the majority, right? Then what you all do? What do you all do? Do you not come together and say, that bad leader must be replaced? And who led the charge? Your boss, Najib. So was Najib not following what you say here? Bad leaders need to replace. Right? Now if you have the tape conversation with Tun Mahathir, surely Tun Mahathir will say, right? Yeah, he has to be replaced. He's a bad leader. We all agree. The whole country agreed. He's a bad leader. The only difference is that you want to be replaced. Right? Him as the President Prime Minister. But Tun rightly said in his press statement, it's not for you to demand to be the Prime Minister or President. There is a process. You said, right? The Prime Minister is also required following a process. These are your words, Zahid. Following a process. Huh? Last paragraph. Process. Makna, the process is what? Election within UMNO to be the President of UMNO. And whoever is the President of UMNO will be the Prime Minister. So by your own statement, you scumbag, you have admitted indirectly the correct constitutional party rules and regulations that even if you aspire to be the Prime Minister to replace Najib, the bad leader, you cannot demand from Tun Mahathir to support you. There is a process, and that process is election, isn't it? You see, you're caught, Zahid. You're caught. Your balls have been squeezed by your own words. Squeeze! That's why Najib now is trembling. He realized a process can be started. But if he makes you, Zahid, an enemy, he'll be weakened. So he says, I trust Zahid. Let's be honest, lah. Both of you have been sharpening a knife to plunge and stab each other's back. That is the truth. And then come this scumbag, Aziz. This Aziz, who is the Baling UMNO chief, or the audacity to ask Tun Mahathir to swear in the mosque. Why should he? If you Aziz, you scumbag, I now ask you, okay? You swear first, with me in the mosque. I dare you. Celaka. I dare you swear in front of the mosque with me that you have seen every document of what MDB, the emails, the banking documents. You personally, as a responsible leader, Chairman Tun Haji, Balik UMNO chief, to convince yourself and your UMNO members in your division that Najib is innocent, 1MDB is innocent, despite the finding of guilt and offence by Bank Negara with the consent of AG. That having examined all these documents in minute detail, you have done that. Swear in the name of Allah, I dare you, with me in the mosque, as I have done. When you have not done anything, as a Muslim, you have a duty to verify the truth and expose falsity. You're not supposed to be ass-licking scumbag crony, okay? And dare challenge Tun Mahathir. You're nobody, okay? You're a scumbag. I take you on. Let Mahathir take on Najib. I take you on. I take you on, okay? And see whether you got balls. Prove to me and the whole country you got the balls. Right now, I say to you in your face, you have no balls for me to squeeze. So I squeeze somewhere else, okay? Up your bloody ass. You scumbag. Don't you dare show your arrogance. Because you do, I will whack you and whack you and whack you. Until you apologize to the whole country and to Tun Mahathir. And you have any morality and spirituality, you will prostrate in the mosque and ask for forgiveness from Allah. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You're the most dishonest, scumbag, loyalist. Not very smart. Alright? So, I hope people of Malaysia, with this address, you are very clear. There must not be any confusion. I therefore say that Najib, the Prime Minister, Najib, the Finance Minister, Johari, the Second Finance Minister, the Set-Gent of Minister of Finance, who is also the Chairman of 1MDB, Irwan Sirigat Abdullah, Arukanda, whoever is involved, must be charged for sabotage. Sabotaging the economy of Malaysia under Section 124K of the Penal Code, or right in conjunction with SOSMA. And you dare charge me under 124L of the Penal Code that I attempted to sabotage the Banking and Financial Services Act, and now that I've acquitted in law by 4 courts. I didn't run away. You locked me up. I took the pain and I challenged and I fought. So by fight the right way, go to court. Alright? I asked AG, IGP to lodge a charge of sabotage against all these people. You have sabotaged the economy of Malaysia. We have been humiliated. You have sabotaged integrity, not attempted. You actually sabotage. I've been charged with attempting to sabotage, You're worse. You actually sabotage the reputation, integrity, not just the banking and financial institutions of Malaysia. It's worse. The entire country. A sovereign default. You triggered a sovereign default with open eyes. And you try to excuse yourself by saying it's a technical issue. No excuse. It is a sabotage outright. You must go to jail for that sabotage. You must be arrested and tried in court. Prove your innocence in court as I prove my innocence in court. Nothing short of sabotage, okay? If I was accused of attempted sabotage by lodging a police report or lawful act, lawful duty, and you tell the whole world, yes, we can't pay 31st July. We will monetize the units. We got the first tranche in April 2017. 50 million. Why don't you make part payment first? Why don't you make part payment of a debt? Quite often when a debtor owes money to a creditor, when they want leniency and time, they say, can I make part payment first? Balance later. You see, you can't even pay part payment. Because if you have the 50 million US, being a monetization or those units for the purposes of IPIC, surely you scumbag, hoodlums, mafia, you make offer a part payment to show your sincerity that you could pay the balance. You could even pay part payment. Shame, shame, shame. You're disgusting. Disgusting. Okay? And I challenge you, okay, within 48 hours, show the 50 million US and make payment of the 50 million US first to strengthen your so-called request for time to pay the balance. If not, right, you're the freaking liar, cheat, launderer, money launderer, right, arch criminal. And the China Kwai, 1 MDB, Joe Low, better come home, huh? Bring him back. Bring him back to face the charges. You see, you people accused, right? Tun is not Malay. He misled all of you in UMNO. But when the China Kwa in the form and shape and smell of Joe Low, you have not condemned this bastard, this criminal bastard. See? What kind of value do you have? A young punk, a criminal, a fraudster, China Kwai crook, you have not condemned. But you dare condemn a man, a statesman who built this country, brought the Bumiputera community to this level of economic independence. You condemn him? Shame on you, you traitor. You're not a traitor to the Malays, you're a traitor to the country and to Islam. Get it in your head. You're a traitor to Islam, to the country, and to the Malays. My dear fellow Malaysians, once again, this is another nail that will bury Najib for good. Why? Because, as I said before, God works in mysterious ways. Have faith, we will win. Each time they knock us, divert us, truth surface. Truth surface in its most mysterious ways to horn and bury these evildoers in a cesspool of their own shit. Let me remind you once again, have surrendered completely to the will of Allah. I mean it. Will of Allah is in the Quran. So there's no misunderstanding what is meant by Allah. Surrender your will to Allah in the Quran. Have absolute faith that He will protect, defend and guide us under all circumstances in the face of all such evil enemies, adversities and challenges. And we will win. We will win. Don't worry. Come hell or high water, he has to face justice in one form or another, in this earth or next. Okay? So do not worry. Stand firm. I will do as much research. I will continue my struggle until my last dying breath. And I hope you will summon that courage, that conviction in your heart, your soul, your mind to do the same. Not necessarily the same way as I'm doing, but in your own way. Tell all your friends, relatives, rise up, rally behind Tun Mahathir, rally behind Bersatu, rally behind Pakatan Harapan, and let's give hope to the entire nation and the future generation of Malaysia. With that, I say thank you and God bless.